I think Lord Redgrave just suggested I was sired by an
Support
ancient
the equality
vampire.
between...
Good evening, miss.
Oh my god, no. Please, Mr. Vampire, don't kill me. Please, no. I'm too young to die. I still have so much to offer this world.
Wait, no. Why do you think I would... What?
Don't worry, Dr. Reed. I know you wouldn't harm me. Mother told me you were in this part of town and might drop by.
Your mother?
My name is Charlotte, sir. Charlotte Ashbury. My mother taught me long ago how to recognize the signs that betray a vampire.
I understand she also taught you how to tease and gently mock innocent young Ekons. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Charlotte. Tell me about your adoption.
What do you want to know?
Who are your real parents?
Elizabeth Ashbury is my real mother. She raised me and has taken care of me all my life. I have no idea who my progenitors are or were.
Do you live with her?
I still spend a lot of time in my mother's mansion, but I have my own house now. I have a life to live, you see. And one day, I'll have my death to face.
How did you...
First, I was an orphan in the institution for girls she manages in the West End. When I was 10, she adopted me, and I have lived with her ever since.
Did you know she was a vampire when she picked you?
The correct word is Ekon, Doctor. And no, I had no idea why my mother only showed up at night. She told me everything when I turned 16, though I suspected the truth for a long time before that.
What exactly has you...
Your name and profession, obviously, and the mystery about your maker. I'm sorry to hear about what happened to your sister, sir. Mother says it was not your fault.
Does it not scare you to know what I am? What your mother is?
Why should it? My mother is the most compassionate woman. Must I be wary of her, Dr. Reed? Or you?
Perhaps it's wise for a mortal never to totally trust a vampire. Your mother herself told me that we Ekon are creatures of deception. Maybe it's because we seem so... alive.
That may be true for a naive girl, but I have the best teacher when it comes to getting rid of an insistent immortal.
Your mother is not like any other vampire I've met.
I believe she thinks the same about you, Dr. Reed.
What are you...
You mean, what do I do outside at night since I am a woman? Let me ask you a question, sir. Would you ask the same question of a man?
Actually, yes. I ask the same question to everyone who dares to go outside at night, considering the risks.
Well, if you must know, I campaign for the right to vote for all women. Why should I wait to the age of 30 years when men can vote at 21?
How the local...
People here can't wait for a wall to be built to isolate the West End from the rest of town. That's how progressive they are. If this happens, Emily and I will blow it up.
Explosives are very dangerous, young lady. And who is this Emily?
She is my best friend, and a suffragette too. She was supposed to campaign with me tonight, but hasn't turned up.
Have you any reason to be worried about her?
Recently, Emily started to believe in... well, she got interested in vampires. I'm afraid she might be in trouble.
Let me guess. You spoke to her about us, didn't you? Despite your mother's warning. I think I should try to find your friend.
Oh, that would be top-notch. I can tell you where she might have gone. You have my thanks, Dr. Reed. And please, don't tell my mother.
Are you a suffragette, then? Oh, you really are Elizabeth's girl. Without a doubt.
All adult women have the right to vote in the US, in New Zealand, and in Australia. But women here can't vote unless they are property owners.
No need to convince me, Miss Charlotte. I have shared your opinion for a long time. Even before I met Emmeline Pankhurst.
Really? Oh. Now I see why my mother appreciates you so much. Too bad there aren't more men like you in the vicinity.
What do you think?
I was raised here, and I suppose it feels like home. You grew up in this part of town too, did you not?
Yes.
A small world, is it not? Did you ever imagine that my mother was your neighbor all that time? That you could have met her in a dark alley at night?
You won't trick me twice, young lady. We both know Lady Ashbury never hunts or attacks prey at random.
Come on, Doctor. Don't tell me you never thought about that possibility. Her fangs on your neck. Oh, are you blushing, Dr. Reed?
Is there something...
Too much selfishness and individualism for my taste. Even when there was no epidemic.
Even if that's partly true, may I remind you that many charitable institutions are financed by the selfish and filthy rich.
I suppose you're right. But society must reform and renew itself, or we are all done for.
Do you know why, Lady...
No, I don't. Each time I ask her that question, she smiles and says it's precisely because I dare to ask such questions.
Do you ever regret that she chose you?
Of course not. Though I often wonder if she adopted others before me. If so, where are they buried? How is it for them to pass through life with a never-aging mother?
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Goodbye, Charlotte.
She's been...
Good evening, sir. Please forgive me.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I must admit it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathan Reed.
Welcome, Dr. Reed. Welcome to my humble shop.
What can you
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city. I'd be glad to share the address if you want.
Finding a good...
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes...
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals. If you ever find an intriguing table, please share the address.
How is the situation in this
Life is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Are you not concerned about the epidemic?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
You cannot expect the newspapers to expose the truth while the war is still raging. I can assure you that the situation here is desperate.
Well, that's news then. But I can't believe that things are that bad. Are you sure you're not exaggerating a bit? For the thrill of it?
Is it not?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
But what about the epidemic?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
So you prefer to...
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
Do you have any...
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Really?
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's low...
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
I may... It's locked. It's locked, all right. I'm investigating this...
Not really. Wait, now that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand.
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Goodbye,
Have you noticed anything
Good evening, sir. May I...
Come on, Johnny. Don't you recognize your oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you? My God. So you survived the war too. So sorry I didn't recognize you at first.
I almost didn't recognize you either. War does that to men, I heard. In my case, it was true, for I witnessed the horror that lies underneath.
When did you escape the war?
You know what's funny? I almost never think about the war. Not anymore. I'm involved in another kind of battle now.
What is this new...
I saw terrible things during the war. Horrors I thought I'd forget. They're here too. They're everywhere. Vampires.
I know what you mean.
Of course. With the epidemic, I bet you've been busy as well. Forgive me, Johnny, I didn't want to sound selfish.
How is your wife?
We've spent so much time away from each other. So many things have happened.
But you're alive. You returned in one piece, and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's not quite that simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
Do you need medic...
It's a little late for visiting hours, don't you think?
What can I say?
I hope we're talking about the same habits, old friend.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this...
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Miladies...
Yes? What about the Mullaneys? What about their house?
Not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement. Closed doors. What is going on in there? I wonder.
You need...
Women die too in this war.
That building is under quarantine. Could this be what I'm looking for? Good evening, Avery.
Mr. Jonathan? I can't believe my own eyes. Oh, it's a miracle. We all thought you were... Oh, sir, your poor sister. What a tragedy.
I know, Avery. I know about my sister's murder.
Miss Reed expected you to return to assist with the funeral, right up until the last minute. Where have you been, Mr. Jonathan? We needed you here.
Tell me the truth, Avery.
No, sir. I have nowhere else to go. And I promised your father I'd take care of his family as long as I lived.
This house is dead, Avery. There is a curse on this family. You really should consider leaving.
If only you could have been here sooner or more often. Maybe this house would not be that empty. But you're here now, sir. So my task is not over.
You have served this family extremely well, Avery. Your support during these terrible times is much appreciated.
Then I will stay. All I ask is that you take care of my own funeral if I die before the end of the epidemic. No mass grave, please, sir.
Do you really think I don't take an...
Yes, I do, Mr. Jonathan.
You clearly have something more to say. Speak your mind, Avery.
I know you work hard to help the sick, but what will you do once the epidemic is over?
I really don't know. I have always enjoyed seeing new horizons. Once the epidemic is over, it would be nice to leave London for a while.
I understand, Mr. Jonathan, but you have to realize that your mother needs you. Your next departure could break her heart.
I'm sorry.
Your mother was strong, sir, but your support would have been appreciated. Apart from the priest and I, no one else attended your sister's funeral.
To be present at the funeral with you both was my dearest wish, Avery. But I'm sorry, I simply could not attend.
I would not dare to question your absence, Mr. Jonathan. All I can say is that we missed you a great deal during these difficult days.
What is the
For a time, the West End seemed spared by the epidemic. But the situation is getting much worse.
Have you no relatives anywhere? I'll understand if you want to take a few days to see family.
Your father managed to guarantee my earnings as long as I take care of this house, sir. My sisters are dead, and I've never met my nephews. I'll stay, sir.
How is my...
Not well, I'm afraid, sir. Miss Reed is very fragile since the police brought her back home.
The police? What happened?
Miss Reed was found walking in the streets. She kept saying she had spoken with her son and daughter. She's resting now.
Has she received...
I'm taking care of Miss Reed myself. Hospitals are so overwhelmed by the epidemic that they can only accept patients infected by influenza.
Perhaps... we could arrange a short trip. Somewhere sunny, like France. She has always been very fond of France. I think leaving London could do her good.
I'm afraid Miss Reed is too frail for the moment. Recently, she started going out at night without remembering it. I have to watch her carefully.
I'm currently investigating sources of the epidemic in this part of town. Do you know anything useful?
Not really, except all the Macphersons' servants resigned a few days ago. They feared becoming infected, they said.
The Macphersons? Where do they live?
I think it's a rich house near the railway bridge.
Goodbye.
Of course.